Wilbur and Orville Wright were brothers who grew up in Dayton, Ohio. When they grew up, they opened a bicycle shop together. They liked trying to figure out how things work, and they made good bikes. One day they heard news of a man who died trying to fly, and they began to wonder if flight was really possible. They went to work and built a glider. They started flying it like a kite, and they wanted to fly on it themselves, but they needed a good place to fly it. They needed to find a place that had 3 things: steady wind, an open space so they wouldn't hit anything, and soft ground. They searched the country and found one place that could work. In North Carolina, there was a thin strip of island off the coast called the Outer Banks. It had steady winds and open sandy dunes. In 1900, Wilbur and Orville made the journey to Outer Banks and found a spot near the village of Kitty Hawk. They made some successful glides through the air, and now they wanted to try it on a bigger glider. So they went back to Dayton and got back to work. A year later, they went back to Kitty Hawk and tried their new glider, but it didn't work very well. They were very discouraged, and Orville sadly said, "Men may fly sometime, but not in our lifetime." Even still, they didn't give up. This time, they built a wind tunnel so they could test how the wind affected the wings. They created a new glider, and they went back to Kitty Hawk again. It worked! This time it flew! Now that they knew they had a design that could fly, they went back to Dayton. They added an engine to the glider, and now they had an airplane. They had learned many things about how fly works. Just like a bike, an airplane needs to balance. But planes can move in 3 different directions. Going up and down is called pitch. Turning side to side is called yaw. And turning over is called roll. In 1903, they made their 4th trip back to Kitty Hawk. Here they built a shed for themselves and one for the plane. Then Wilbur and Orville flipped a coin to see who would fly first, and Wilbur won. His first attempt was unsuccessful. Then it was Orville's turn. He took off into the air and flew for 125 feet. It was a short flight, but they finally had done it. This was the first controlled motorized flight in the history of the world. Now Wilbur wanted a turn, and he flew 175 feet. Orville took a second turn, and he flew even farther, 200 feet. Then Wilbur made the 4th flight. He stayed in the air for 852 feet. The plane was damaged shortly after, and the Wright brothers went home to keep flying. But here they had done it. They learned that it was possible to fly, and the era of aviation would begin. The Wright Brothers National Memorial is in the exact spot where the first flights took place. Let's go visit the memorial. Welcome to the Wright Brothers National Monument. At the visitor center, you can see a museum that explores the Wright brothers' journey to discovering flight. There are models of each version of the flyer. This is a replica of the original Wright flyer. Behind the visitor center, you can see reconstructions of the shelters they built, one for themselves, and one for the airplane. This is where the first flights actually happened. There's a stone marker at each of the landing spots. The fourth one is a long walk out. Let's hurry this up. That must have been an amazing flight. We made it! This is the landing spot of the fourth flight. A modern airplane flew above us at that moment. It reminds us what the Wright Brothers' achievement has led to. Nearby, you can see Kill Devil Hill. A monument to Wilbur and Orville Wright stands on top of it. Just behind the hill, there is a life-size sculpture memorializing the moment of the first flight. Up, up, and away! The original Wright flyer was preserved. You can see it at the Air and Space Smithsonian. This is the actual plane that made the first 4 flights. See you at the next park!